So, on July 2nd, ICE detained a woman outside of immigration court. She had a work permit, but no lawful status. The media twisted it as legal immigrant detained. But here's what they didn't say. Work permits don't protect you from deportation, okay? And ICE isn't making mistakes. They're finally cleaning up what sanctuary cities let out. I want to go ahead and warn y'all, I am on vacation, so you might hear my children, but let's get into this.
Our cameras were rolling on July 2nd when two women were walked out of immigration court in San Francisco in handcuffs, one of them an employee of Pivot Interiors in Santa Clara. Christy Nadeau with Pivot Interiors tells us she even double-checked the woman's legal status with the federal database called E-Verify. Everything turned out clean, with a work permit valid through 2029 and no criminal history.
So these are not illegal immigrants. These are hardworking people. These are good people. They're not criminals. And we have to do something about this. We have to make people aware that this is happening.
And the numbers show this is not an isolated case. Our investigative unit discovered that in June of this year, the number of California immigrants detained by ICE with no criminal convictions or pending charges reflected a 2,000% spike compared to last year. 80 arrests last June to 1,606 this year.
They've expanded the definition of what constitutes an arriving alien to include anyone that's been in the country for less than 2 years.
As ICE has increasingly started detaining people at routine immigration hearings, a growing number of immigrants say they're considering not showing up. But immigration attorney Andrew Newcomb says immigrants should not ignore their court hearings. Instead, he suggests that at least 10 days before that hearing, they ask the judge for a continuance or ask to appear via video call. Newcomb has a how-to demonstration on his website.
You can get templates for a video appearance or a continuance, and there's a PowerPoint explaining exactly how to fill it out and where to mail it.
Pivot Interiors says in talking with the employee after ICE detained her, she told them she had been coerced by ICE to sign self-deportation papers. And as of tonight, they don't know where she is. What they do know is they have a lot of questions about why a hard-working woman from Colombia who followed the law was still detained simply for showing up to court. We reached out to ICE specifically about this case, but have not had any response.
So, this is what NBC, or as I like to call them, MBS, left out. She wasn't a U.S. citizen. She didn't have lawful permanent status. And under immigration law, she was subject to removal. But the narrative became ICE is detaining legal workers. Wrong. ICE is doing what Democrats refuse to do, and that's enforce the law.
ICE, even though they say she was in the Santa Clara company says it's heartbroken after one of its employees was detained by ICE, even though they say she was in the country legally with a work permit and with no criminal history. Our cameras were actually rolling when the Colombian woman was detained on July 2nd at an immigration court in San Francisco. The company she works for, Pivot Interiors, said it even double-checked her immigration status on E-Verify, and it did confirm that she had a valid work permit through 2029. They say they were able to contact their employee after she was detained by ICE, and she told them that she was pressured by ICE to self-deport. So today they say they don't know where she is, and they still don't know why she was ever detained in the first place. We did reach out to ICE and the Department of Homeland Security for comment about this specific case, but have not yet heard back. In the meantime, our Damian Trujillo has been working on this story all day for us. He has a lot more information about this case, and he also spoke with an immigration attorney about what immigrants should do if they're found in a similar situation. You could find his entire story on NBCBayArea.com.
See, NBC, they're continuing to try to paint this as cruelty. We are heartbroken. She was legal. You know, all that. Legal. No, that's not true. Having a job doesn't erase your immigration record, right? And from what I'm learning, E-Verify only checks documents, not your immigration status. The system's flawed. ICE knows it. And now they're stepping in to fix it. I'm not saying that nobody's perfect. I'm not saying that they could not be making mistakes, but from what I'm gathering, it's not working in their favor. But while the media gaslights, let's talk about what silence really looks like, okay? From the top down.
What you're saying is quite threatening.
What?
It's quite threatening.
Really?
Can we move on to the next person here?
Mayor Johnson, over the weekend, ICE arrested an illegal alien named Jose Luis Mendoza Gonzalez, who had been released by a Safety Act judge he was charged with concealing a body of a 37-year-old mother of two, Megan Boss.
In April, investigators found the body of 37-year-old Megan Boss in a container on Mendoza Gonzalez's property. She'd been missing for nearly 2 months.
Mendoza Gonzalez was released to his home after his arrest. The charges didn't qualify for pretrial detainment under Illinois' Safety Act.
He had her in his backyard in a trash can for 2 months and went on with his life as if nothing happened.
Megan's mom, Jennifer, was at the White House last week for a signing ceremony of an anti-fentanyl bill and told the president about her daughter's case. 3 days later, ICE agents took Mendoza Gonzalez into custody for being in the country illegally, and he's now facing deportation.
I hope that she sees that I'm fighting for her.
Jennifer says she's convinced nothing would have happened in her case if it weren't for President Trump.
I am so grateful that he stopped and looked at me when I hollered out at him because I was starting to feel really hopeless about this case.
Megan Boss, a body that had been decapitated, abused, kept in
We gotta get to the question.
I have a constitutional right to ask a question.
You do.
Okay? I'm a credentialed member of the press. I do have a constitutional right to ask my question.
Absolutely, William. We want to get to your question. And
I'm trying to. If you didn't interrupt me, I would be done with my question.
This is not the first time I respectfully ask you to ask the question. Thank you.
I'd like to finish my question now. May I?
Thank you.
Megan Boss, decapitated, her body abused in a dumpster, a bleach-filled dumpster on this man's property, right?
Okay.
You have stated over and over and over again that you don't want ICE in Chicago. If that had been Stacy, if that had been your wife Stacy's body that had been decapitated, abused.
That's not an appropriate question, yeah.
It's a very real people. The people of Chicago are asking me to ask you this very specific question. Had that been your wife Stacy, would you want ICE to pick up this illegal alien?
I'm not going to entertain your question.
You're not going to answer. Well, okay, my follow-up question is regarding...
I actually believe that what you're saying is quite threatening.
What?
It's quite threatening.
Really?
Can we move on to the next person here?
Excuse me, but no,
And if you continue to behave in such a way, we'll just make sure that we take the appropriate steps. You are threatening and provocative.
This is a question that the real people of Chicago are asking.
William, please give me the microphone. We ask for respect. We give it to you. I expect the same.
This is a very serious question.
We understand. Please give me the microphone.
From the adage of
I do not want to have this conversation. Please have more respect for the office and for yourself right now.
This is a very serious question that the real people of Chicago are asking me to ask.
And I am seriously asking you to show respect for this office and give me the
What
microphone.
about the respect for the real people of Chicago who want this question asked and answered?
We are done, sir. Please give me the mic. Thank you.
Mayor, good afternoon. Good afternoon. From the...
So, if your wife was murdered by an illegal immigrant, would you want ICE to act? He asked. Then you see Mayor Johnson refused to answer. He called the question threatening. Let that sink in. That's the leadership that let Megan Boss die. And when the politicians won't speak for the people, regular citizens rise up and say what they want. Shout out to my homegirl, Danielle Carter out here doing her thing.
We just saw where we have illegal aliens, that all you aldermen that was just in here fighting for illegal aliens, their rights. Now, we just had an illegal alien kill an Illinois woman, Megan Bowles, stuff her body in bleach in a container. A judge let him off, and we know that you all arrest these illegal aliens and let them right back out in our community. And now you all want to tell us, and all of you all were advocating to keep them here in due process. And you want to keep them in our communities and not allow ICE to come in and even get the criminals. the public safety threats. If we was working with ICE, then he had a deportation. He's supposed to have been deported. So if we were working with ICE, then he would have been out of our country, out of our communities. But no, you all were down here just a prior meeting advocating for their rights, their due process, and how their rights are being violated. All while our rights are not, we're not being protected. So I didn't see one of you aldermen mention about the lady, Megan Bowles, who had just lost her life from an illegal alien that you all allowed to come in into our communities and not cooperate with ICE or law enforcement, can't lock them up. And you all want to keep coming to us about safety threats. You all in this right here, the aldermen are people who are put in charge the mayor. You all are the safety threats. The Democratic Party, you all are the safety threats to the American citizens.
Amen to that, man. I mean, she said it plain. If they worked with ICE, she'd still be alive. That's not rhetoric. That's reality. An illegal immigrant was arrested after being released thanks to sanctuary policies. Megan Bowles ended in a bleach-filled dumpster. And the people who could have stopped it did nothing. But the families mourn and ICE steps in. And while they doing that, look who shows up to fight against the cleanup.
Nobody wants you! No one is trying to you! You can't even do it! This is a waste of money right here!
This is what happens when a country forgets who it belongs to. We got foreign flags, American citizens yelling, free them all, protecting illegals over citizens. This is where we at with it. And they keep calling ICE a threat. No. ICE right now, like I tell y'all throughout these videos, right now they're seeming like the last line of defense. But here's the twisted part. While the criminals are defended in the streets, patriots are punished behind the scenes. While illegals roam free, the DOJ is firing Americans who they're married to. For who they're married to, actually. Caroline, I even say that last name, Feinstein. She worked for the Department of Justice. Her husband made an app that warned people when ICE was nearby. I'll just say her husband is a really bad husband. Now, I don't know how true it is because the post says she claims, a DOJ staffer claimed she was fired. So, yeah, the anti-ICE app caught up to you. Maybe you ain't break the law. Maybe you ain't leaking intel, you know what I'm saying? But that connection right there, this is what happens when you... And look, man, loyalty to the truth, though, as opposed to being loyal to some guy like that, that'll cost you everything. Just ask this woman in California. In California, a medical worker physically blocked ICE from making an arrest. Now she's facing up to 8 years in prison. And let me be clear. Sanctuary isn't safety. It's a shield for criminals, and it turns everyday workers into accomplices. ICE didn't start the chaos. They just cleaned up the consequences. And when it comes to fixing the chaos, they don't need emotions. They need facts. I mean, here they are.
When you look at folks on the campaign, whether it was the left or the right, you heard folks on the right, as Trump was pursuing regaining the presidency, we were talking about how the criminals have got to go. We're going to target them, and we're going to go after them. So when you say that, I get where you're coming from. The difference is that the impression was given, everything was in an effort to get the worst of the worst out of the country. And what folks on the left and folks that are just average American citizens are pointing out is that they don't see that enough of that is happening, that quote unquote innocent civilians in this country that happen to be in this country are the ones being targeted, where you're going to a school or you're going to their workplace or what have you, and you're taking them away in an effort to deport them. What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, we don't do operations in schools. We don't do operations in churches. I read that all the time too. It's a fake story. But we are prioritizing public safety threats. That's why the majority of people we arrest are criminals. The majority of people we're detaining are criminals. That's just a fact. But just because we're prioritizing public safety threats doesn't mean everybody else gets passed. Because if the message we want to send, Stephen, to the whole world, you can enter the country illegally, it's a crime, don't worry about it. You can show up in court or not show up in court and get a final order of deportation from a federal judge, don't worry about it. As long as you don't commit another crime, you're home free. That's not the message we got to send to the whole world, because if you do that, you're never going to fix the issue. People are going to realize I can get to the United States, I can cheat the system and make a false asylum claim, I'll later be ordered removed, but I never got to leave because I didn't commit another crime beyond illegal entry. There are millions of people standing in line today trying to be part of this country, the greatest country in the world, in my opinion, and they're taking their tests, they're paying their fees, they're doing their background investigation to be part of the greatest country on earth. They're sitting in the back seat while millions of people came to their border and cheated the system. When I say cheat the system because of this, what people don't talk about, they say, well, these are all asylum seekers. Okay, you can call them asylum seekers because they're seeking asylum. But if you look at the numbers over the last decade on immigration court, 9 out of 10 asylum seekers at our border end up with an order removal. Because they're not really asylum seekers. They're not escaping fear and persecution from their home government because of race, religion, and political affiliation. They're coming here for a better life. And I get that. They're coming here for a job. I get that. But that's not asylum. So we can't send the message to the whole world, ignore law. Even though we're a nation of laws, you can go ahead and break the law, enter the country legally. And here's what happens when we send that message. You overwhelm the border patrol like what happened during the Biden administration. 70% of agents are no longer on patrol because they're taking care of this humanitarian crisis that was created by open borders and not enforcing the law. And when you overwhelm the border patrol, that's when the fentanyl came across and killed 250,000 Americans. That's when sex trafficking was at an historic high. That's when a record number of terrorists crossed that border. Under Trump, 45, we had a total of 14. Under Biden, over 400. So when you don't enforce the law and you don't show consequences, people feel welcome to come across. It overwhelms the border patrol where they're dealing with, now they're dealing with humanitarian crisis, but their national security job is fractured because they created gaps in the system, because there are areas of the border where there's not a single green uniform because they're busy changing diapers, making baby formula, and making hospital runs, whatever is required. It's important we send a message to the whole world. There's a right way and wrong way to come to this country. And if we don't enforce immigration law beyond the criminal, that's not the message. We can't send that message. That's the message the Biden administration sent. The Biden administration said, cross the border illegally, you won't be removed, you'll be held for 24 hours, we'll give you a free plane ticket to the city of your choice, we'll put you in a free hotel room, we'll give you 3 meals a day, we'll give you free health care, and in 120 days, we won't give you work authorization, which is the really reason that we came here. That's why you saw the crisis you saw. We have to show the world we're the most welcoming nation on the planet. We welcome more refugees in this country than any nation in the world. So there's a right way and wrong way to do it. We cannot support illegal activity. We just can't do it. It sends a bad message to the whole world.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Tom Homan said it best. If you only deport the criminals, the system collapses. Because once people realize you only go after the worst of the worst, everyone else takes that as permission. I totally get that. You think that the fentanyl crisis happened by accident? No, it didn't. You think 400 plus terrorists at the border is a coincidence? Of course, I know there's not a word coincidence, but coincidence. You think that's a coincidence? It's not cruelty to deport illegals. It's survival. But if the country's upside down, what does it say when even our veterans, start turning their back?
I would never tell any soldier ever in our active military to go AWOL. I would never tell you to go AWOL. But if I could just tell you a really quick story, that when we went to deployment in Afghanistan from 2011 to 2012, one of the guys I met fell in love with an Egyptian woman who we met in Afghanistan. And when we got back from deployment, we got back to the US and we got 10 days of leave. And that's leave to recover or whatever. And when on his 10-day leave, he went to Egypt to go find his woman. So he technically went AWOL because he's still there. And the United States military can't do anything because he's literally in a foreign zone. He's in another country. So they do not have jurisdiction there. So he's fine as long as he never returns to the United States. You see what I'm saying? Like, don't go AWOL. Don't go AWOL, and definitely don't go to another country and never come back. Don't do that. The government doesn't like that. They don't like that because they can't do anything. Yeah, I would never say that. Have fun in Israel. I would never tell any soldier ever in.
And now we've got veterans telling active duty soldiers how to go AWOL and vanish overseas. This is where we are, man. ICE agents getting attacked. Law-abiding Americans are Getting fired. Huh. According to the left. They flipped this country upside down. But here's the good news. ICE just shut down Chicago, and it's only the beginning. They're shutting them down by voices like Chicago flips red, going at Brandon Johnson's neck, basically. You know, they keep trying to tell us that, you know, ICE is cruel and all this other stuff. But they lied. People died. And now I'm sure ICE is going to continue to thrive and do their job. Y'all be safe. Go check out somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. I'm going to try to do some vacationing. I'm out here in Florida. And, yeah. I'm nowhere near Alligator Alcatraz, though. Y'all be safe. Go check out somebody today. You already know you can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.